So good morning. My name is Demmy. This is Sam. He's the real brains of this operation, so I'll talk as briefly as possible. Just to introduce the context in which we did this. So we got involved from the University Library of Leuven with 3 divisions: the Arts Faculty Library, which houses the collections that we used. It's focused on ongoing research and training in the Faculty of Arts, but we have some special collections, and that's the one we used. Libis, which grew from the IT department of the library, but is now grown to provide services for multiple libraries, museums, and archives, and the digitization unit of the University Library. And the reason why we got involved is that we felt that we needed to develop some competence in the field of textual analysis as well. We had years of experience in digitizing, like as our photographer says, making beautiful pictures of beautiful books, but not really preparing them for textual scholarship. So that was why we got involved, and some of us might know the work, some of you might know the work with our mini dome, but that's just providing pictures of nice objects and not really to do with texts. And so what we did was first select a corpus, 13 books from the Preziosa collection of the Hullen Librei, which is a unique collection of Dutch translations of classical texts. We focused on translations from Latin and books that had not been digitized yet, especially because we wanted to have a corpus for non-mainstream materials. So in here we have all these old Dutch translations of Latin names. We have the long S, so a lot of typical difficulties that you get with OCR for non-mainstream materials and NER. And now it's up to Sam.
Yeah. So when we started, we had an assumptions is behind the text. Yeah, we have some assumptions. We wanted to do it as automated as possible because that's the real world that we when we process something like that, we want to do it as automated as possible. We also had we also wanted to do test every tool immediately because we wanted to know the tool itself, and we wanted to know if we could use Alto because that's our preferred format, because our output system, our discovery system, uses Alto. And we also used student workers, so they need to keep on working, so we had to quickly understand the tools and know how we could use them. So we wanted to test them as quickly as possible. We actually did 2 workflows. We did the OCR workflow almost completely, and we did the named entity workflow. In the first step, the digitization step, we didn't use any Succeed tools. We used our own tools. But what we learned there is that we need to use black and white images. We first started with color images and then grayscale, but that was all not enough. We just needed black and white. Also, we had some problems with the borders. There were some, because of spots, there were words recognized in the spots, but there were not really words. So we removed all the borders with the existing software we had. And also the biggest problem we had is that the text of the other page comes through to the page that you want to recognize, and that also got some distortions in the results. So we used our existing tools for that, but we also used the assumption I talked about as automated as possible. So we had one setting for every book to have a real world use case. We didn't correct every page. After the digitization, we start using the Succeed tools. The first tool we used is Alitea tool. You heard it in the previous talk. It's to create the ground truth. And we didn't have really much problems with it. It was really user-friendly, so it was nice to use. The only thing we didn't know is how do you have to split the works, for example, but that is just something that we learned during the course of using the product. And then the next step is the evaluation step, where you use the output of your OCR engine and you compare it to the attestation output. And there we learned that a high error rate doesn't mean that your OCR is bad. There can also be, like I said, borders. You can have some distortions there, and that also gives you a higher error rate, while the words itself are not that bad. So that's also something we learned. We did some different cycles of improvements. We not only did improvements in the images, we also improved the results by using a dictionary provided by INL. We also used built-in tool, or sample application from the Abbey Fine Reader engine that we used. That is the user pattern training, where you train the OCR engines to recognize a character. When it's unsure about a specific character, you can say that it's a specific letter if it doesn't recognize it properly. So you get a pattern file, and that pattern file you can also use in your Fine Reader engine. So like I said, we did a few improvements, and then at the end, when you are satisfied with the results, then you can execute your OCR with the settings that you learned. Also there we use a sample application. The sample applications in the Abbey Fine Reader engine were already very useful. The only problem with the engine is that it runs on Windows. And we have our servers are Linux for the most part, so that was annoying. Then I switch over quickly to the named entity recognition workflow. That is the output. The input there is the output of the OCR. So that is our Alto files. We used the attestation tool of INL for the attestation creation here. We learned that we had a lot of pages to be attestated, I guess, because here we have some like 250 pages we needed here, and in the OCR we need 5 pages for every book. So we needed to do a lot more work here, but this is quicker, so the end result was as quickly as the OCR. Then you have to split up the set in a training set and a test set, and these sets you will use in creating your model. We used a NERD tool from INL for this. The improvements we did was also with the NERD tool. We used a different split between test and training, and we also used the variants of the old spelling. And then at the end we actually cheated a little bit, because we didn't use the NERD tool for that, because we wanted Alto as output, and the NERD tool doesn't output Alto, so we used the Europeana newspaper tool for that. What we learned is that for executing the the named entity on the complete set, we needed to use a lot of resources, and memory was really big here, of a big issue here. Yeah, and then I want to talk really quickly about some experiments we did, or one experiment we did with named entity recognition. Our first attempt got us these results, and we were not very happy with it. So we wanted to improve it, and we got thinking, how can we improve it? And then we thought, well, an OCR engine sometimes recognizes words wrongly. So we thought, what if we correct the words? Because sometimes it will recognize it correctly. So we wanted to be sure that there were different variations of the same name in our input file. So what we did is we created an input file and a corrected file, and we splitted them and combined them. So we again had a training set and a test set. But it's important to first split and then combine, we learned. So, and then you can see the improvements were really huge. We don't know why it actually happens, because named entity recognition is something very magical to us still. But yeah, we saw it a big improvement here. Yeah, and then to conclude, the next steps that we will take, we will create an OCR platform for the university, and we will also make it part of the standard Libby services. And now everybody knows that we use OCR, and everybody comes with new projects. So we want to learn how to use Latin for OCR and named entity recognition, so that we can do these kind of books now as well. Also, the lexicon building, because we learned that the lexicon really improves the results. And you don't have to do it for every book, almost like the user pattern training. And also border detection, because now we removed the borders, but we don't really want to remove them. We want to better learn how to better detect it. And also the noise that is in that comes through of the previous page. Also that we want to find a way to automatically remove that, so our results will be better without having to change the contrast and things like that. And for the named entity recognition, we want to learn to use more languages there as well, like Latin. Voilà, that's what we wanted to talk about.
Thank you very, very much.